Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.
Welcome back to AI Hub, the show that takes a deep dive into all things AI. I'm Larry, your co-host for this deep dive.
And I'm Amanda, ready to unpack some really interesting stuff happening right now at the intersection of AI and antitrust law. This one is a wild one.
Yeah, this one is really interesting. So today we're diving into this whole Google Department of Justice saga that's been going on. You know, the one with all the legal battles and back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
You sent us a TechCrunch article all about the latest developments, and it's pretty intense.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's been going on forever, right? This case has been around for a while. Like, it's even outlasted a change in presidents, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
I know. And the DOJ just seems like so determined to hold Google accountable for what they're calling anti-competitive practices.
Yeah.
And the DOJ thinks that Google's been using its total dominance in search to unfairly block out any other competition.
Right.
And they're pushing for some pretty drastic measures too. Like, the latest thing is that they're really pushing for Google to sell off its Chrome browser completely.
Wow. That's a big one to ask for. I mean, think about it. Chrome is the most popular browser in the whole world. Like, everybody uses it.
Yeah.
And if they lost that, it would be a huge blow to their data collection, their whole advertising business. You know, it's like all that data is the new oil stuff, right? Well, Chrome is like one of their biggest oil rigs.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about losing the browser itself. It's losing that pipeline, that direct line to user data.
Exactly.
Which is, like you said, the core of their business, and especially for things like training and refining AI algorithms. So, I mean, you can see why Google is fighting so hard to keep it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but this is where it gets even more interesting. So initially, the DOJ wanted Google to sell off all its AI investments, get rid of everything. But now it seems like they're changing direction a little bit. Now they just want to be told about future AI investments. Like, they have to be notified.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like I don't know, maybe they're realizing that Google is going to be involved in AI no matter what.
That's so interesting. It's such a weird shift.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, have they realized that trying to, separate Google from AI is kind of like trying to unbake a cake? It's just not going to happen. And maybe they're starting to see that there might actually be some benefits to having a company like Google, help shape the future of AI.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some of the, the best people and tons of money. Yeah. So they're going to be on the cutting edge no matter what.
Right.
The question is, how can we make sure that all this innovation happens responsibly and ethically, without squashing the competition or creating these monopolies that could actually hurt people? I mean, that's what this whole debate is about.
It is. And it's something that really does affect all of us.
Yeah.
Just think about how much of your life is actually controlled by Google in a way. Like the searches that you do, the websites you visit, the apps on your phone, all that. I mean, whatever happens with this case could really change the whole tech industry, It could totally change how we even use technology every day.
Oh, for sure. It's not even just about Google or this one browser. It's about who has the power between governments and these big tech companies, and what kind of future we want to have online in this whole age of AI, right? So yeah, it's definitely a nail biter.
Yeah, for sure. So what does all of this actually mean for the average person? I mean, the outcome of this case could really change things.
Right.
I mean, think about it. What if they make Google sell Chrome? What happens to the whole browser thing then?
Exactly. Who knows what would happen? It could be that a bunch of smaller companies would jump in and try to make their own browsers.
Yeah.
Maybe some better options that care more about privacy or have cool features that Chrome doesn't. Or maybe another big company like Microsoft or Amazon would just take over. It's a big game of tech chess, and the stakes are really high.
Yeah, they are. And it's not even just about, who makes the most money. It's about how we all get information online, how they collect all our data and use it, and who gets to control all of that. That's pretty intense.
It really is, yeah. And then this case also makes you think about how we're going to regulate AI, as it becomes more and more a part of everything we do? Like, do we just let companies like Google do whatever they want? Let them just keep innovating? Or do we need to make some really strict rules to make sure things are fair, transparent, and that these companies are actually accountable for what they do?
Those are really tough questions. It's like,
right.
Yeah, we want these companies to innovate, right? We want them to push the limits of what AI can do, but we also don't want to end up in some kind of dystopian future where just a few companies control all of this crazy powerful tech, right?
Exactly.
It's such a hard balance to find.
It is, and it's something that, people in government are trying to figure out right now. Like what the DOJ is doing, that's just one way to approach it. Right. There are other ways too, like the EU, the European Union, they have something called the GDPR,
right,
which is all about data privacy and making sure people have rights.
That's interesting. And how's that working out for them?
Well, it's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. Like the people like that it gives them more control over their own data, but businesses complain that it's a lot of work to follow all the rules.
Yeah.
So there's no easy answer,
right?
And I think we're going to see a lot of different approaches as AI keeps getting more intelligent. Yeah,
definitely. And I think it's really important to remember, too, that this isn't just a debate for, like, politicians and tech people,
Right.
It's a conversation that we should all be a part of. The decisions we make now about how we control AI will have a huge impact on what the future looks like.
Absolutely.
So, what can we do? As individuals, what can we do to make our voices heard in all of this?
Well, first of all, just stay informed,
Yeah.
Like read articles like the one you sent me, understand the arguments. That's a good place to start. You can also support organizations that are trying to make sure AI is developed responsibly and, make sure there are good regulations in place. There are tons of groups out there working to make sure AI is a good thing for everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And don't forget about the power of your own choices too, Think about the data you share online. Do some research about the AI products and services you use. And be careful about what companies you support.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Those things might seem small, but when everyone does them, it can send a message to these companies and to the people in charge, It shows them that we care and that we're paying attention.
Right. Speaking of paying attention, that part in the article where the Google spokesperson says the DOJ's demands would actually hurt American consumers, the economy, and even national security? They're really pulling out all the stops.
Right. Like they're saying Google is so important to how the internet works, to the whole economy, that if we break them up, it would be a disaster.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
It is.
And one that the DOJ will have to think really hard about.
Yeah, for sure. It makes everything even more complicated, right? Like, How do you decide if more competition is worth the risk of, messing with a company that's such a big part of our lives?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough call. And I guess the courts are the ones who will ultimately have to make it.
Yeah. And speaking of the courts, this isn't over yet. The case is still going on, and they're going to start arguments again in April, so buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride as this whole thing plays out.
It's like a legal thriller or something, and the whole future of the internet is at stake.
Yeah.
We'll definitely keep following this case and let you know what happens.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The story could completely change how the whole tech world looks, so stay tuned.
Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into all of this, Google, antitrust law, and AI, let's take a second to really imagine, what happens if the DOJ actually wins? What if they force Google to sell Chrome?
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing to think about. The whole browser market would be up for grabs,
Okay.
And who knows what would happen. Maybe we would actually see some of those smaller independent browsers make a comeback, The ones that, care more about your privacy or have some features that Chrome just doesn't have.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. It would definitely shake things up. And how would that change your experience online, How you browse, the info you see, even the ads could be completely different.
Oh, for sure. And think about what it could do for AI development too. If Google loses Chrome, they lose a ton of data, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that would slow them down, or they'd have to find some other way to get all that data.
It's kind of like a domino effect, right?
Yeah.
One little change could have this huge impact on the whole tech world. And it makes you wonder, what does this mean for the future of AI regulation?
Right. That's the big question. Would other countries start doing the same thing, start going after these huge tech companies?
Right.
Would it cause this whole global wave of antitrust lawsuits, or would it actually backfire and hurt innovation, and in the end, hurt the people who actually use this technology.
Yeah, there's so much to consider. And it shows how connected all this stuff really is. You know? Technology, law, the economy, even politics. It's crazy.
It really is. I mean, this whole case is like the perfect example of how AI is changing everything. It's not just about the tech itself anymore. It's about power, control, who's in charge of this digital world we live in,
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's a future that we're all kind of creating together, even if we don't always realize it. So, I mean, think about the choice you're making online, the companies you use, the data you give them.
Yeah, exactly. Because in this whole AI age, every click you make, every search, every little thing you do online, it all matters.
It really does. Well, that's all the time we have for our deep dive into the Google antitrust story. Make sure you subscribe to AI Hub for more deep dives into the world of AI. We'll be back with more fascinating stories soon.
Welcome to the AI Hub, a podcast for AI-driven side hustles designed for IT professionals like you.
From cutting-edge AI tools to practical, no-nonsense tips, each episode brings you closer to turning tech into income.
Tune in to discover smart and sustainable ways to boost your career and income with AI.